All right, welcome back to another episode. Joining me today is Tatiana Rojas. Tatiana, how you doing today, ma'am?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm doing awesome. I had a great breakfast, excellent coffee, and I'm fired up to learn more about you.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Yeah, slow morning was great today. Love
Heck
it.
yeah. For those of us that don't know anything about you, Tatiana, can you tell us a bit about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, of course. My name is Tatiana Rojas. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I have a virtual therapy practice and I serve clients all throughout the state of Texas and the state of California. I'm a born and raised Californian myself and then a transplant to Texas as of, almost 4 years ago. So I primarily work with adult clients that are in like the tech industry, are going through some life transitions, divorce, breakups, losses. Um, those are primarily the individuals that I see. And I do work with like anxiety and depression. And one of the other things that is really close to my heart is working with perinatal mental health in that sphere and working with new moms, moms that are um, planning to or hoping to conceive and work through that process, the parenthood process, all of those things in that way. And another one that is actually really close to my heart is also working with caregivers. So we're kind of in, at least I am right now, in kind of a little bit of that sandwich generation where you've got the young kids and you've got the parents that are aging. Although I don't take care of my parents, I work with a lot of individuals that do and are in kind of that place. So yeah, that's the primary thing that I do. And then I'm a mom of two and I've got a husband. And so they take up all the other time when I'm not in the virtual therapy room.
Wow, that's really cool. So many threads to pull on, Tatiana. I like to stay focused on what it's like working with you, if you don't mind. How
Yeah.
would you describe your style?
So I think I work really collaboratively. I'm touching base with my clients pretty regularly when they come into the space. Hey, what do you want to talk about today? I know we kind of originally set out maybe some goals when we first met, some things that we wanted to highlight, but life happens, things come up. And so I really kind of take the client's lead in that respect. We'll always kind of come back to what the goals are of them receiving or wanting support. So one of the other things is I'm very much like skills based. Let's get you skills, let's get you tools, let's get you resources for the things that you need. So we're going to talk about, we might talk about mindfulness one day. We might talk about how to get out and just move your body a little bit, or how to have a conversation with someone that's you need to have a conversation with that you've been putting off. We're going to talk about why we feel so hesitant for conflict and not wanting to have that conversation. So we're going to talk through all of those things in a very like hopefully calm and the calm space in that respect. So
That's awesome, Tatiana. Out there in the mental health field, there are a lot of specialties. We hear EMDR, CBT, Gottman, all the things. And for those of us that don't really know what those acronyms mean necessarily, what is your approach?
yeah. So I'm trained in cognitive behavioral therapy, and I tell this to my clients all the time. So I definitely take hey, we're going to check out and see how thoughts, feelings, and actions all interact, and kind of how that also impacts what you're bringing in and what you might need to shift or adjust. I also am trained in Brainspotting, which is I don't know if we want to call it like a stepchild of EMDR in a way, but I'm definitely trained in that as well. But all of that to say, I think it's really important that people you ask those questions. But then if you don't understand what your therapist is saying or what they're trying to explain, it's okay to be like, hey, I don't get it. Like, what are you talking about? What are we trying to do here? Or what are some things that help me to understand like your treatment modality and what you kind of do in this space. And so I do have a lot of those conversations initially up front, especially after doing like an intake of this is what I think I can do to help support you. Yeah, oh my gosh, there's so many different lenses. I also work from like an attachment based lens, just depending on what's coming in. And that is really looking at kind of how we relationally attached from a very young age, and then how that impacts our romantic relationships, and then into how we parent perhaps as well. And so especially if I'm working with those perinatal mental health clients, I will definitely kind of touch on that. We'll go back to kind of, and I think values-based kind of work also comes from a number of different like modalities and styles. And we'll break some of that down to see how we can help support and kind of understand like why we're feeling so triggered or bothered by certain things in life as well. So, I mean, there's so much. And I think also at the end of the day, though, come in, have a conversation, just talk, share, be genuine, be open, be authentic, and we will also figure out what's best and what approach may work best for you as well, because it's not also a one size fits all.
Yeah, and what I'm hearing is that basically you have a lot of tools in your toolbox.
Yes.
And how do you know which one kind of works best for the client? Like, are you getting feedback from them? Do you kind of gauge on your own and see how they respond? How does that play itself out?
Yeah, 100%. I always ask in the intake, have you ever been in therapy before? What is your idea of it? And if you've been in it, what didn't work? What didn't you like? What was not helpful? And then depending on what information is kind of given back, if they're like, oh, I'm not into meditation or mindfulness, which I know is often pushed, I'm like, well, what is your understanding of that? What did you learn about? What did you kind of take away? How was that explained to you? Because I think there's also a lot of miscommunication, not being really understood, and then not being afraid to ask for clarification as well. And so I try and do that at the onset, and then throughout kind of sessions. I'm like, do you have any questions? Does that make sense? Do you understand? Do you need me to clarify anything in particular? So I'm always giving an opportunity for a client to give feedback or ask questions. I'm letting them know like this is a space for you to come in and ask that, and no question is dumb or ridiculous or seems like it's not a testament to your intelligence or anything of that nature. Like, just be open.
Yeah. And Tatiana, what happens if a client's like, yeah, I'm not really feeling this. I don't really know if it's working. What do you do with that?
Yeah, so if that's the case, and once again, I say this at the onset, hey, we're going to run through kind of a series of questions. If you feel like I'm not the provider for you, not a problem. I have a huge referral network. We can always find someone that will work better. I will not take offense to it in terms of style and approach. I get it. Like, you need to find what's most comfortable for you. So just ask that you be honest, and then I will go ahead and support you in finding referrals or however you want to kind of take that next step.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Tatiana, okay, so let's say a client partners with you, they reach out, they schedule the consultation call, seems to be a good fit. They do the initial session, and then they're like, all right, I'm in. What does progress look like?
That's great. And I think that's a great question that I always put back on them. Let's talk about where you were at when we started, where you feel like you've gotten to maybe at whatever point we've had, 2 or 3 sessions under our belt. And maybe I'm a little bit different in terms of the way that I view therapy or how I approach this as well. And I know I didn't mention this a little bit earlier, but I'm willing to go whatever pace the client is willing to go. So maybe we start out with weekly. And progress means maybe we're going down to every other week because you've gotten enough tools in your toolbox. Now you got to try it out. And that's the thing is, are you trying these things out? Because the thing, if I'm telling you to try meditation to feel calm and more relaxed, and you've only done it one time, you're like, that doesn't work for me. Well, it's not going to work when you're heightened. So we kind of have to do these things when we're calm, and then we need to try and be consistent. So we'll talk about what are you doing to try out some of the suggestions that we've come up with. What commitments are you making to yourself? Because I'm just kind of a vessel to help support that, but I'm not the one that's going to make those changes for you. You've got to kind of take some of those steps in that respect. And so we'll talk about maybe every few sessions, what's working, what's not working, what's helping, what's not, what are some takeaways. Kind of looks a little bit different in terms of how I phrase it or what I say. In those sessions, but at the end of the day, I'm pretty much checking in and being consistent at almost like the end of every session, or what are you gaining from this, and noting that down and then following up. How's the relationship been? Tell me about those things. How did the conversation go? Why didn't you have the conversation? So those were also like ways to measure kind of where you're at and if you're really open to some behavioral changes and shifts in patterns and relationship patterns.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And it's really cool that you do make an intentional effort to get feedback from the clients because it is important, and a lot of clients, like you said, may not speak up. They're just like, oh, it's my therapist. I don't want to make her feel bad or him feel bad. I don't want to look like the bad
Yeah.
guy. So it's really cool that you are offering to do that with your clients, or for your clients, I should say. Tatiana, I think there may be a misconception that therapy is kind of like a linear process. It's
Mm.
just like, hey, as time goes on, I'm just going to get better. And if I apply the skills, things are just going to kind of keep working out. And, as we both know, that may not be the case, right? It may take one step forward, a couple steps back. We may go sideways a little bit even. How do you prepare your clients for that almost certain inevitability?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think one of the things that comes to mind is one of the conversations that I often have is like, we're increasing awareness. So things are going to feel a lot different in maybe your personal life, your professional life, just depending on what we're working on. And so it's not going to be surprising if this feels a little disjointed or like it's not working or we're not getting anywhere. I just encourage people to come in and my clients to let me know like what's happening and what they're experiencing. But I think one of the greatest things about being on this side of the screen, if you will, and being the therapist is that, hey, I'm just going to accept you for where you're at, and we can just accept discomfort for what it is. I think that's a huge piece for clients, is just learning to, and anyone in general, is learning to accept discomfort. How much do we want to push things away? People come in and want to like work on their anxiety and depression and to feel better. I'm pretty honest. I'm not trying to get this to go away. Symptoms of anxiety and depression are going to pop in and out through life. We're going to learn how to manage it. So if we don't know how to manage those things, then it's always going to feel like we're going to avoid or push it away, and it's always going to linger and be there. But I mean, even I get nervous, I get anxious, I get sad, I get down. Like those things happen. I think in the work that I've personally done, as well as I've learned to become comfortable with the discomfort and be curious about where it's coming from.
Yeah, and that's really interesting, Tatiana, because I think that's so true. I agree with you that those feelings don't really ever go away. And to say we're going to get rid of anxiety and all these things, you really can't do that, right? That's like, if you do that, then you're kind of removing some of your humanity in a way. It's like, because those are a normal part of being a human. So I really appreciate that you kind of walk your clients through that, to just manage them, recognize it, and be able to respond responsibly, if that makes any sense. Tatiana, okay, so let's say a client comes in, they do the consultation call, they're aware of your style, they know your modality, and they're prepped for what progress is going to include, right? Like the one step forward, two steps back. How do you know when it's time for them to either graduate or kind of finish therapy?
Yeah, well, sometimes it's because insurance changed. So we don't always have that luxury. But I think a lot of times, and in my experience, at least with those that like finish fully, is like they get to a point where like, I'm showing up and I don't really have anything pressing. I don't think I have anything where there's really a true need. I'm able to manage my emotions. I understand what's happening and what's going on. I have the tools, I'm trying to use them. And if I don't use them, I check in with myself and know that I need to get back on a good rhythm and routine and space, whatever that may look like. And so I think I've often had people come in and they're like, I don't have anything. And I don't think I've had anything over the last couple of weeks or even the last couple of sessions. And we'll talk about progress once again and just how far they've come. And I always leave the door open. You can always reach out for support if you need it. And if I'm unavailable, we'll find you someone that is, if you feel like that's the case. And I've definitely had people come back because life happens and things have happened in different ways. And perhaps the reason they're coming back is not the same reason they started. But I noticed that a lot of times, like people walk in like, I don't really have anything else to say. I'm kind of at a point where I'm feeling like I can manage all the things.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And yeah, sometimes the clients will say that, huh? Like, I think I'm done. I think I'm pretty good. At which point, like, we can kind of wrap it up, I think. Yeah, that's really awesome. Tatiana, okay, so let's say clients listening to this
Mhm.
episode, they're watching it and they're like, all right, I'm hearing her, I'm seeing her, I like what she's talking about, I'm vibing with it. But they may still be on the fence about starting therapy or reaching out. Um, what would you want them to know?
Mm, try. I know before we got started, no one hears this, necessarily hears this part, but I think I shared with you my word of the year is action. Just try. Um, it's okay. It's not going to look, I think, picturesque. It's also different, perhaps, than what we've seen in the media and through movies. It's not exactly like that either. Um, but just start with a simple search. Start with who you might be interested in looking for. Put that into Google. I mean, there's plenty of therapists and individuals that want to help and support. And so just try it out. It's not going to hurt, hopefully, too much, just depending on who you end up with. But I think there's a piece of it. You always have to take that first step. Otherwise, nothing's really going to improve. And if it doesn't work out, you made an effort, and maybe timing isn't right. And understand that for a lot of people too. I mean, they come in a lot of times and they're very overwhelmed and dysregulated, and they don't feel like they're even in a space where they can talk. And I get it. But I think the first thing is take a step.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's great advice. Tatiana, do you do consultation calls? And if so, are they free or and how long are they?
Yeah, I will offer a 15-minute free consultation call. I know sometimes people are more comfortable emailing, but I prefer to kind of jump on a quick call and run through a couple of different things. There are certain, certain areas that I won't support or provide support just because I don't think it's appropriate virtually. So if you're experiencing active suicidal ideation, I'll help support you and find resources. But because we're in a virtual space, I don't think sometimes it's as effective, at least not on my end. I'm not currently working with too many heavy trauma clients. That's just a personal boundary right now in terms of where I'm at phase of life. Substance use is another one as well, just because that's a little bit more hard to monitor, and it's really not my area of expertise, but I can do it. I have experience working in rehabs and things of that nature, but I know what my limits are as well. So I'll be honest with you, so long as you're honest with me and coming in for that consultation.
Yeah, that's great. Tatiana, I'd like to shift gears a little bit and talk a little bit about you. Is that okay?
Sure.
So what motivated you to be a therapist in the first place?
Yeah, what is my why? And I am my why. I grew up in just having a lot of different stressors younger in life. I don't think I really realized it too much until I got a little bit older and saw how I was interacting in other relationships and friendships and things of that nature. So I wanted to essentially be a person where I could be supporting others in the various things that happen in life, and be just a person that can listen and hear and not necessarily problem solve and fix anything, because that's not the goal. The goal is to feel heard and understood and seen. And I want others to feel seen.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Tatiana, what do you like most about your work?
I do like seeing the progress. I like talking with people and hearing about everything that's kind of going on in their life. And I think one of my favorite things is, going back and checking on different things that have come up and they've been able to resolve and work through. And I think I have some pretty long-standing clients at this point where we're just maintaining and making sure everything's okay. So it's great to see them work through different stages of life, from not even being in a relationship to then getting engaged, being married, and working through having a kiddo or something like that, or just kind of going through those stages. And those are so impactful, milestone stages, that I love to just hear how we're adjusting, and also just really validating everyone. Life is hard. Life is not easy. And so I really enjoy, I guess, kind of sitting with everyone through those moments. I really don't mind it.
Yeah, and I think we see it the same, you and I, Tatiana, just being present while they live out their story. In some way, it's like we're also a piece of that story, and we're listening, and it's a privilege and an honor to be able to participate with the client in that regard. It's super cool. Outside of the therapy office, Tatiana, what do you enjoy doing?
Yeah, I love to be crafty, although I think buying craft supplies and doing the crafts are two different things. But I love to craft, and that's kind of an escape for me, whether it's coloring or bracelet making or t-shirt making. That's a big thing for me. I have 2 kiddos that are on the spectrum. And so a lot of time is spent just trying to help them get out their energy. And so jumping around, listening to music, those are great things for me. I'm a huge sports fan, so we're coming up to Formula One season, and I'm super excited to see what's going to come up this year. It's also primo softball time. I'm a former college athlete and college coach, although not at a very high level. I love this time of year. I'm just like absorbing all of it. Baseball season's around the corner, so I'm watching a lot of sports. That is something that I truly enjoy, truly love. It's also an area that, like, when it comes to performance, and there's just something so exciting. We're in the Winter Olympics time. I love to see people just achieve their dreams in that respect. It's so fun. And then if I'm not doing any of those things, you'll likely find me napping because I'm exhausted. So,
yeah, that's real. I appreciate that, Tatiana. Well, how can people reach you?
Yeah, I mean, you can find me on social media at on Instagram. It's G_E_T services, or getservices.com, which is my website, or I'm sorry, it's gettherapyservices.com, which is my website. Or you can actually, probably those are going to be the best ways to get in touch with me or touch base with me if you are interested or have any questions or need any resources or support.
Tatiana, thank you so much for being on the show. We really appreciate learning about you and what you do to help people out there in the world. It's really awesome. And I hope we could do it again in the future. How does that sound?
Yeah, that would be great.
Awesome. All right, everybody, signing out. Have a good one.